Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to season 3, special feature interview of the MF'N podcast. The motherfucking pod is going down in a major way. I'm your host, the ThickEyedBandit, representing the Westbank. I'm here alongside my brother, straight off the 504, the Ross Clyde Bomber Clyde Jamaican, Beanie Man, a.k.a. Mr. Headquarters. Where the T.I. is, big dog.
Bomber Clyde, you heard me?
It's the motherfucking pod.
So the word motherfucker is a noun. It describes a person, place, or thing.
We got a major player in the building today, bro. It don't get no bigger than this. When we talking about Westbank heroes, we talk about Westbank legends. Man, the man's accolades go from here all the way past the Walkertown terminal. You heard me? This man accolades, it cross over the UP Long. You get what I'm saying? This man accolades walk all the way through the cutoff. You heard me? This man accolades go all the way to the back of Manhattan. You feel me? This man accolades go all the way through Marrero. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Big family in Marrero. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know who I'm talking about, I ain't just talking about the Super Bowl champion. I ain't talking about the college football national champion. I'm not talking about the man from West Jeff. I'm not talking about the man that's the gorilla. You dig what I'm saying? The gorilla got the gorilla gear on right now. If y'all don't know who I'm talking about, man, I'm talking about Mr. Inside the Trenches himself. I'm talking about Marlon Favorite. What's up, big dog?
Man,
Big dog.
ThickEyedBandit beat y'all. Thank y'all for having me on the pod, brother. It's an honor. It's a big time podcast. I love the setup in here, man. The environment is good, brother. I love it.
No doubt.
A lot of energy too, man. A lot of energy, boy. Plug in energy.
You got to, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we first and foremost, before getting into it, man, we just got a couple quick sponsors we want to get through, man.
Right.
Make sure that y'all tune in to the MF'Npod.com. That's the MF'Npod.com for everything, man. You check on our archive, man. We got every single episode in there. We got merch in there. What else we got in there, B?
Right. So make sure when y'all go in there, you know what I'm saying, the merch is coming soon, the hats, the keychains, the watch is coming from Culture Crew. So make sure y'all check out Culture Crew. That's going to be luxury for the culture. That's coming soon. CultureCrew.com. You can find it on Culture Crew on IG. So all that information is going to be on our website, themfnpod.com. So make sure y'all check it out.
Absolutely. Now, Marlon, tell us about your story, man. From the West Bank, man. Born and raised, man.
West Bank?
You have a long lineage, a long track record here, man. So, what was the genesis of you being here on the West Bank?
Well, my family, the Favorite family, big on the West Bank. You look at on Ames, the buses. Everybody knows from like Ray and the buses, Jesse Favorite. Old school cats know about Jesse. Back when he had the place on Ames. So I guess from a popularity standpoint, the Favorite name was, late 80s, well, into the 70s, 80s and 90s been popping.
No doubt. Now, you said you travel. So I'm all about the traveling, dog. So you got to tell us, what was your favorite stopping points, when you was in the NFL?
And most Saints fans might trip on that. Well, my favorite spot was in Carolina. I thought the area was a really good blend of Southern hospitality and that up north swagger. So, a guy coming from down south and spending my collegiate career at LSU, the most north we went was South Carolina, Tennessee, playing in the SEC, of course, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida. So to go in a different climate and, be able to see how people are different across the country, I think that was the biggest experience, early on. But Carolina was probably everything. Like
the rival.
Yeah, the rival was actually.
Don't get mad now.
See that like Roman Hall or something. He was with the Saints and he was with Carolina. So I think if looking at it from that perspective, I think first time in the NFL too. The first team I know my wife was crazy about that. Like, when we first got there, she was like, this is what we, like, the week she came out there, like, we was looking for, like, apartments or condos to stay in. Like, she was dead serious about moving back to Carolina. Then they
Really?
Now, in the NFL, is it like when you're on the field? I know growing up. Now, I don't want to assume because we were born and raised black and gold. We represent the Who Dat Nation for sure. Now, were you the same way growing up? Were you a Saints fan? And then how does it change when you get into the NFL?
Well, I thought, and I'm just keeping it real, I do think a lot of folks are 06ers. Like, a lot of people became Saints fans in 2006 when the wins started coming. Like, I knew growing up in Woodman, I knew some real Saints fans. Rest in peace, Mr. Sims. He used to have Saints stuff plattered all over his yard, all on the house. Like, we knew that dude was a real, and this was the brown paper bag days, growing up in Woodman in the early 90s. So I was always a guy that wanted to see the home team do well, more than anything else. But I have to be honest, I was a Cowboys fan growing up.
Just like your brother.
I was a Cowboys fan growing up. They never signed me, though. I never played for the Cowboys, never worked out for them or nothing. I think that's a good thing because I might not have been a fan if everything would have went south. I was talking to Skylar Green a couple years about this.
Shout out to Skylar.
Shout out.
Westbank legend. I was like, Ski, dog, man, you blessed, bro. At least you got a chance to play for the Cowboys. Man, like, they drafted you, bro. You got drafted. It's like, man, I got you, bro. Yeah.
Now, when you playing, you know what I'm saying? Like, how much of that fandom? I know you've had on the schedule when you come across the Cowboys or whatever the case may be. Is there a little extra get up for the game, or is it more just like, you know what? I want to go out here and shine just for me. This personal right here.
Yeah, well, as a player, man, it really became personal because you're fighting for your livelihood. So that's no different from the average person going to work every day. Like, you're trying to make this roster. So the fandom, they kind of go out the window. Shoot, if I'm playing with the coach, go coach. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The football team, go Washington. So that, that part of it still remain the same, the business side of it. But just the love of the game, I like what the NFL is right now in regards to the amount of talent that's being displayed each week. So, I still enjoy the side of it. When the Saints play the Cowboys this year, I think that would be a lit game.
I think we might be in that number.
I do think, just judging this early in the season, the Saints, the defense looks good.
Yes.
I think the defense
I was worried about it.
Yeah, I was, because, you lose Malcolm Brown, you lose Sheldon Rankins. Yeah. You feel what I'm saying? Plus, and having to replace those guys and you don't draft in that area says a lot about, Malcolm Roach. It says a lot about Grandison, who did, these first few games, they look good up front. Like,
for real.
With the Saints, I was worried because Tampa's, their defense is loaded too.
And they brought everybody back.
Right. So that
don't happen.
It really doesn't. It doesn't happen that way. So I do think that's something I'm looking at this season to see how this defense is going to be able to shape this redeveloping offense.
Yeah, I'm looking at now. We talked about this off the mic and all that stuff. So we talked about the Jameis Taysom Hill thing. I thought this shit got dragged out way too long.
It's for TV, man.
I mean, I understand that, but I felt like Jameis should have been running with the ones from a long time ago. He already led a team for several years already before. He put up big numbers that last year he started. I mean, he had 30 picks, but he also had 30-plus touchdowns.
Right.
And the fact that they had Taysom, even starting the first game, he had the first shot at it. Let's keep it real. They gave him the first shot at it. I was surprised at that. But I think this past game that just happened, them against Jacksonville, proved, even though it's preseason, but I still think James proved that he should be the starter moving forward.
Oh, no,
without a doubt.
It shouldn't be a doubt, and I'll kind of dissect that situation. I don't think the Saints' offensive playbook is that complicated, but it is that complicated. So if you look at the way this thing had flowed, so Drew Brees has been a starting quarterback for the Saints since 2006, with the exception of 8 games, and Teddy Bridgewater's last year with us in the 2019 season.
Right.
And of course, a few games from last year with Taysom started, right? That's it, since Aaron Brooks. So looking at those guys develop. So Teddy, and you hear it from the quarterbacks. Teddy's like, man, it's wonderful playing behind Drew Brees. I learned so much. So he was saying that at first, but then we started to see it. Mm-hmm. We started to see him be that guy he described Drew help him turn into. And Taysom has been basically a jackknife for this Saints team for the past few seasons. Like, that's what he does. And I felt like either they or Coach Sean tried to figure out how we can make this work with this guy, because he's I tell people this all the time. Some folks look at me like I'm crazy. He's not there, but he does give you Alvin Kamara type value. You know, he can do so much. He can do so much, and he changes the dynamic of the game in different ways for the Saints. Whereas Jameis, he's a pro quarterback. Like, yes, he's a quarterback. So that narrative I never really got it. And I literally get asked this question on, you know, all of my media obligations. I have to do television and radio. They say, so what you think about Jameis? And it's nothing to think about. Jameis is the best quarterback on the team right now. No Drew, Jameis. We saw one game last year in the playoffs we lost. Jameson threw that one play, and it was a one touchdown. Yeah. So we just saw 3 touchdowns in back-to-back games. Like, he's airing it out. Like, you see the
ball went down the field.
Yeah, and it lets you know who the superstar is. The superstar is Sean Payton. Yeah. That's the common denominator in all of this going on. He's a quarterback developer, offensive guru.
Now, we've had this conversation on multiple occasions, man. We always talk about, is it the player or is it the system or is it a combination of both? Mm-hmm. With Sean Payton's system, you know, you got number one offensive line in the league, hands down. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You got somebody in the backfield that has pocket presence. You know, Jameis is a smart man. He can navigate the pocket. He can climb the ladder. You know, you got a Swiss Army knife. You talk about another Swiss Army knife. Look at Alvin Kamara coming out of the backfield. Yeah. He can catch passes out of the backfield, but you can also run the ball. You can play the clock. You can grind out teams. And when you can do it from that level, you can run a 2-minute offense. You got guys who have route savvy. Some of these young cats, Deontay Harris, look at him as far as his route running. Look at what Marquez Callaway is giving us. You know, somebody like Juwan Johnson who can come out from a receiver to become a tight end. And now look like he might have to start because we don't know what's going on with Adam Troutman. You know, hopefully he can get better. We can attack you from so many different ways. That system, man, with somebody like Jameis. The boy threw the ball 53 yards in the air. That has not been done since 2016. No knock on Drew. It's just he couldn't do it anymore. It was time, not knocking him. He's probably the best Saint that they ever has been. But now you can go over the top. So now those safeties going to have to play back. You don't know how to attack this team from the offensive standpoint. The scheme against them is crazy. It's the system, in my opinion. I think the system is would you?
I think it really is the system. I look at it from 2000. Okay, I was talking with a couple of my buddies about this. I'm gonna ask y'all the same thing here on the show. Between 2001 and 2004, y'all were NFL fans, right? Y'all watched the game. Y'all had different teams and different quarterbacks y'all was looking at too. Y'all probably checked out Michael Vick a couple of times. Yeah, Donovan McNabb. I could keep going, right? Y'all check.
I remember Rich Gannon was doing his thing out in Oakland.
All remember that. So let me ask you this: in that time frame, we all checking for Drew Brees?
Well, in San Diego. Well, we knew coming out of Purdue, we knew he was something. But when he got to San Diego, we didn't watch Drew down in San Diego. We didn't get the coverage like that.
No, not in New Orleans. No,
but I said NFL fan.
But yeah, absolutely.
So like, let's say for instance, ESPN. You're watching the highlights, or if you have Reds on television, where y'all really, man, let's check out the Chargers and see how Drew playing.
No, I was not. No.
Keep that in mind. He comes in 2005 here. Right. 2006, we was on Drew Brees. Not just us. Of course, we gonna be on Drew Brees. We local New Orleans, but the folks across, like this dude, like everywhere I was traveling in college. In different cities, oh my gosh, I love Drew Brees, but Drew Brees just became an even more elite quarterback. Yep. If people would have knew that was Drew Brees in 2001, it wouldn't even been a thing. Think about this, y'all. I don't mean to go too far into this. This some real rap. Yeah. The argument in 2004 was San Diego drafted Eli Manning.
Phillip Rivers.
No.
Yeah. I think
Eli first.
Washington want him to come.
The Giants drafted Phillip Rivers.
Right.
And a big switch happened. Well, y'all got a quarterback here in Drew Brees.
Yeah.
But you remember he got hurt, the team wrote him off. You know, they put a franchise tag on him. One guy wanted Drew Brees in the NFL. Nick Saban.
In Miami.
So Coach Sean Payton is the common denominator. That marriage between him and Drew, man, that's iconic. You know, like what was developed when we saw the last 15 years, it's damn near next to none. I mean, of course, you got Belichick and Tom Brady. I mean, we could go through the different quarterback coach marriages, but that one was special, right? And then you see the Teddy Bridgewater effect.
Mm-hmm.
Then you see
you can win without him.
And it's letting you know, well, man, this is Sean Payton is, and I think that's what we're seeing right now with Jameis.
Yeah,
I do.
And not to mention when that year before Drew left San Diego too, he had a good year. He just happened to get hurt. What was that, Pro Bowl?
Yeah, that was his franchise. They put a franchise tag on Drew.
And they had a decision to make. They was like, look, we just drafted. Now at that point they had Phillip Rivers already waiting in the wings, and they was like, look, either we gonna pay all this money to Drew and keep him, or we got this guy, first round pick, and Phillip Rivers that's supposed to be the next big thing.
Yeah.
So they ended up letting him go because of the injury. They was like, all right, well, we got a quarterback that's already ready. So Drew walked in free agency.
He did.
And it was between us and Miami. So everybody knows the rest is history.
Shout out to the doctors in Miami.
Yeah.
Real rap. That's real talk, though.
No, it's real, man. It was a physical away, bro.
Yeah.
This don't happen. Do we win a Super Bowl without Drew Brees?
It shaped
good question.
Nick Saban, bro. Like he is in this whole deal, he is the kind of, because he was fighting for Drew Brees. But after, like you said, the doctor started like, we can't do it. So he was forced to go. Miami sucked that year. Saban's like, I'm out of here. You go to Alabama. Drew, rest is history. Miami hadn't really recovered since then. You know,
True.
Miami go to the Super Bowl if Drew Brees is there, I think, you know, because you got Coach Saban. You kind of have the Belichick, Tom Brady thing going. You have the defensive mind and Saban and his all-star quarterback.
That's true.
Now going into you and your journey, you know, Pop wanted football. You know what I'm saying? Who'd you come up with playing? You know, were you a Mac Trojan? Were you a Kings Grand Crusader? Was you a Paul Hall? Where were you playing ball at coming up?
Man, very uniquely 2 years at King Grant.
Okay.
So 6 and 7, and then I attempted at 8, but I couldn't make the weight limit, not even for 13 and 14. So it was that I went from like 65 pounds to like 129 pounds in the summer. Right. So I had then put on, I was big. I was an adult size as a kid. So for me, I was basically forced to not play football, but in the streets until I was 11. So I was able to go to Ellender. So that's where it started. And I knew it was something special. I tried out my 6th grade year at Ellender, and I remember I sprung my ankle. And, I went home, told my parents, I'm going to try it next year. I'm going to just kind of get adjusted to middle school. And I went to PE that Friday. I want to try, like I said, I didn't show up no more. And my name was the first name on the list for 6th graders. How I made the team, I only tried out one time. And Coach Allen was like, yeah, man, thank you.
Coach Allen.
Shouts out to Coach Allen. Legend, man. Hey, man, you'll be all right. We'll put a little something on that. You'll be good. And from there, I was like, he's like, in other words, don't be soft, man. We got you. So, and I hadn't looked back since. I've been a lover of the game since, of course, as a kid, I loved the game. But as a player, that was when I knew, man, I may have an opportunity to go forward with that.
Transitioning to your LSU days. You know what I'm saying? So you had some good years out there. Your junior year, you was tearing it up that year. And 2007, y'all won the championship.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So take us back through that process. How was that beginning of the year, right before that first game that year, before y'all won the championship? Take us back to that. How was that preparation you went through?
Well, we knew we were going to have a special team coming back in 2007 because of our 2006 team at LSU. We felt like that was the team. And quite frankly, it was Coach Miles' second year there.
Mm-hmm.
We still had guys on the team like that. Off of that 06 team, it was 4 first-rounders. Shout out Westbank, Craig Davis.
Yeah.
You had Fall Westbank. Shout out Fall Westbank, LaRon Landry.
Yeah.
Right, shout out.
Bo, that's my bro. 305 in the building, right? And you had Joseph Adai, my other bro, who ended up, both of those guys ended up, H-Town, hold up, third wall, what's up? Fourth wall, I'm sorry. You know
Shout out to French's Chicken and Timmy Chan's out there.
Shout out to H-Town, man. Second home.
Second home, baby. You know what it is. So for that, to see that amount of talent come out, and I knew when we lose those guys, so we came back with that chip on our shoulder because, Florida won the national championship that year against Ohio State. And we knew we were a better team than Florida, but mistakes and, the Tebow jump pass, that kind of changed all of that stuff. Right. So we went into the season, and then I was just doing the interview. Shouts out to my dog, Glenn Dorsey. He made Louisiana Football Hall of Fame.
Shout out.
Last year, College Football Hall of Fame. So I remember that offseason, Glenn Dorsey, legit stared $20 million down the barrel and turned right back around and came to LSU. And that's how I knew we had a team because, in his mind, he's like, the money going to be there. I'd rather go get this natty. So when we started to see our teammate make decisions like that, and, we had Early Doucette coming back. We had Matt Flynn, Ryan Perrill coming back. We had a host of running backs from Jacob Hester to Keelan Williams to Charles Scott. We had that. We had D linemen. We all rotated.
Had some names on that team.
I had D line.
I was a rotational starter on that team. We were so good. We had so many 5-stars and guys that can get the job done. Legit, Glenn and Tyson are only 2 dudes that didn't come out the game. Everybody else rotated. So we shared reps, and it really was like a brotherhood. It got to a point with that unit, it didn't matter who was in. We knew we had something special anytime you can rotate 10 guys in. Some people struggle to find 4 starters, but you got legit stacks of. So what that did was it saved our legs. Okay, Marlon, you and Charles, y'all go out this time. All right, Glenn, you out. Right. Then it's okay, Glenn and Marlon, y'all out there. Okay, Charles, get some rest. Okay, on this rep, give me L and Glenn, Marlon and Charles, and whoever else rotating inside. Drake Nevis, y'all, shouts out Drake Nevis, All-American at LSU. But at that time, Drake was a freshman, but he was getting meaningful reps. Another 5-star D lineman coming in, so 4 or 3-star, whatever. He was talented. Right. So I think you look at it from that perspective on that line. We didn't the first few games. We didn't give up 20 points. So the
defense was serious.
Yep.
The defense was serious.
What's your favorite experience at Tiger Stadium?
Ooh, favorite experience at Tiger Stadium. I have a few. One was on my visit.
Okay.
So I took my unofficial visit to LSU. This was back in 2003. This was 2003 West Jeff senior year season. Me, and I want to say, shouts out my homie, label mate, Chad Barnabill, a.k.a. Chick Black Venom, baby. Shout out, Chad.
Shout out.
Chad, we went out there, you can bring guests with you on you. So we went out to be our, and I remember when I got there, I want to say Jonathan Vance was with us, Crawler, he was with us too. And we got there, and I remember Georgia had one heck of a defense. They had David Pollard. They had some cats on that defense. Blue was back there. And, that boy Scholar had to explain what happened. It was actually, he messed up on the play. He ran Michael Clayton's route. Michael saw it. He took underneath. Scholar went over the top. And when he caught that pass in that Georgia game, that place erupted. I felt the earth. That was my first time feeling an earthquake in Louisiana.
Dang.
Right? The crowd noise got so loud, the place shook. And I'm like, I gotta come here. This is serious. I'm gonna take my visits, but this looked like this the deal. And that was one of my more memorable deals. And as a player, of course, man, just pick a week. That crowd, we used to have these fans, they had our numbers on their body. They would come there cold, hot, it don't matter. They painted their whole body and face, and they had our numbers, the D-line on their
right.
That was love. I'm like, man, this is fans, and I think it was like Ole Miss game. I made a tackle in the backfield. Oh my God. And I looked up to that crowd, the student section. Man, it was an energy that's hard to explain. Yeah.
You talk about the experience at Tiger Stadium is alone, Death Valley, especially if it was a night game, you know what I'm saying? It was undefeated for a while during your tenure when you was there.
Yeah. We had some. So yeah, we were winning, but it was like legit win. Like, okay, so we would, I think Coach Miles' first year we lost 2 games. Second year we lost 2 games. So we had like 3 back-to-back years with only two loss.
Right.
And we were winning at large margin. Like, we beat the brakes off of Virginia Tech. We beat the brakes off of Mississippi.
I remember that was the opening year, right?
That was the second game. We played Mississippi State on a Thursday. So that game didn't really get the attention that other games were getting. So,
I remember because they was trying to say, Virginia Tech don't give y'all a real strong chance to lose. It's like, man, look, Virginia Tech got their ass whooped.
We beat the brakes off them, boy. Man. We were serious.
They showed Frank Beam on the sideline, bro. Cuz was draw the whole game, bro.
Because it was college game day. Like college game day, that's supposed to be a close game. And I remember it was just, the offensive lineman was like, who was Glenn Darcy? He puts one leg in pants, just like everybody else. We put that all over Putt Locker, boy. He went ham that game. I think Putt might have like 2 sacks and like maybe 5 tackles, lost that game. He was busting that dude. We all that's another thing too, bro. We took that weight room serious. We gorillas for real. You know what I'm saying?
Hey. Speaking of, hold up, since you brought it up. You know what I'm saying? You got the song came out. Mm-hmm. Gorilla came out last year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you also just came out with a new song too.
Hello Somebody.
Yeah. So yeah, tell us about that, man. We already know back in the day, if anybody knew you from West Jeff, they knew you was out there.
I don't know that Marlon dance. Listen, I said I wasn't gonna say it. Ain't nothing new. This motherfucker dance. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And then look. Not only could he dance, he could flex, but guess what? Females, if y'all go catch the ball, Marlon gonna probably bring y'all over. You heard me? Am I wrong?
That's no cap, bro. No lie detector. And that was one cool thing about growing up on the West Bank. We legit had like flexes and female twerkers. Like that was just, growing up going to Ellender. And I remember like the younger days, we was at CT Jeanette and Martin Luther King. Remember that used to
CT Jeanette.
Shouts out to CT Jeanette. But y'all remember back in the G, Martin Luther King was a day. Like that was a parade. Yep. That really kicked the parade season off for us. So I remember like Money, Chopper, Dump, and all those dudes. We had started like at Higgins and made our way to Johnny Jacobs. So me and my crew, we 5th graders, we behind them boys and like, excuse me, you got girls on this side, you got screaming and stuff, and they flexing and so we behind them, we flexing too. So the next day we go to CT Jeanette, you know what I'm saying? All the girls come and says, we saw y'all at the parade. And we felt like big time. We like, y'all saw us? How y'all doing this? Y'all like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? That was West Bank Love back then. So it was already a thing. And I guess being before your time, like T-Bob told me this when I came on the show. He's like, man, Phil, you the Renaissance man. Like, when you're from New Orleans, it's our culture. We entertain, whether it's through broadcasting, through sports or, so just being able to do all of that is just natural in us. And it just stayed a part of me. So as far as like the music goes, the timing was good. Like my freshman year, I didn't do a whole lot of music because Coach Saban was there. Like, I don't think he was about that life. But Coach Miles was. So he asked Black Venom to perform he asked Fat and Chad and me to perform at 2 of the Sugar Bowl dinners. See, that's so it was accepted. But I think the intelligent thing that Coach Miles did was he met his players where they were at. Except with practice. We'll talk about that another time. Personality-wise, man, for what we're doing right now, man, one of the best people you can be around. And that really made me comfortable. So my performance, like, I remember that spring of 2006. That going into that spring, me and Black Venom had recorded our first full-length album under Garner Records. Shout out to my homie Tyler Abbott, too. Like, I was able to do it and kept me out of trouble, too, because I wasn't in the clubs all the time, I was only, it was a party thing.
Hey, Tigerland, y'all chill out.
Like, man, my team, that's all they wanted to do. And so some nights I'd just rather just go to the studio. Like, that Coach Miles really made it comfortable for us to, to be able to be ourselves for the most part was cool. So so we were dropping mixtapes in college. And my first few years in the league, I did a little music. But after a little while, kind of, sometimes you just put something down for a little while.
Yeah, come back to it later.
Come back to it. And really, I've always wanted to finish off this project. It was the life. First it was the life of MDF, then I did turn into the life of an NFL journeyman. So I dropped that last summer. It was a combination of songs that were recorded when I was a rookie in the NFL all the way up until about really 2012.
Okay.
And then it was like a 2019 joint I did with the podcast. And that's when I legit came up with podcast music. Like, nobody makes like podcast music, right? So I was like, man, that's going to be something I'm going to introduce, podcast music. So I would be dropping freestyles and songs within the episodes.
Right.
So I started to do that more to create a rhythm. And that's kind of what Balling from Broadcasting came. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make it make sense because, nowadays, if it's tough, like legit, like I'm for real. Damian Lillard could spit. Cole Beasley got bars, like those dudes, but none of them really have hit records because they just really rappers. Being from New Orleans and doing this for so long, as long as I have the ability to write choruses, I have the ability to really lay down hooks and verses because it's about making a song people gonna be able to sing and repeat. So to your point, B, that's how I came up with Gorilla. Like, Gorilla is legit. That's why the clothing line was inspired by that song. It was like, okay, this is my first time doing like a full, it's an EP, but it's solo.
Right.
Like, no features. It's just me and the producers.
And all independent, right?
All independent.
Yep.
So I ended up doing Gorilla. And then after that, I'm like, Deli came with another beat. Shouts out to Deli Beats and Tom Johns too on the engineering shit. And then I ended up doing Hello Somebody.
Right.
And then there's some more songs. I got a song that I call Madden, Mr. Miyagi. Like, it's all like related to sports, but at the same time entertainment. Like, Hello Somebody is something I say every time on the radio. So I knew eventually I had to retire it some type of way. Why not do it in a song?
Now,
reintroduce it.
Now, ThickEyedBandit, you already know, y'all grew up at West Jeff. You also had Big Dal, a.k.a. Big Guap. You know what I'm saying? So you had all three of y'all in there at West Jeff. I'm sure in the cafeteria at some point. Who was getting who? Who was hitting the freestyle? Come on, give it to us real, dog. Who was hitting the freestyle the best?
Freestyle wise, I tell you, real shit. Daryl can fucking spit.
He can spit, dog.
Daryl can fucking spit. Like, the dude is phenomenal. Fave can spit, right?
Right.
You've always heard me say this. I've always said that I was never the greatest rapper.
Right.
I never, ever, ever put myself over as if I was a good rapper or not.
Mm-hmm.
I was a good entertainer.
Yeah.
I could entertain. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But if Daryl and Marlon got it, I wouldn't it.
And I'll be real with you. I'll take you on even further. I think Guap is like an artist. Like, he got lyrics.
Yes.
He does it, bro. Like, even we did some stuff at Shy. Shouts out to Shy and Nut too.
Yeah, shout out.
The whole Westbank, man, it's like a combination of artists right now. But for my T-shirt, I think for me, the one that fits is I'm more of an MC. Like, I can host an event and bust some freestyles, do a couple songs. It's more of that. And I'm a real songwriter. So I don't mind. Some of the times I'm writing the music and I'm not even the performer. So that's kind of like where I don't really have, like, it's specific how I do the music. It's like Gorilla, Big Dog, played up in the league, hustle hard, had to take care of my seeds, working daily just to make a team, like stuff like that. It's storytelling.
Right.
And I'm just really, and it just so happened the production is good. So at 35 and having it's tough to know exactly what it is you want to do. A lot of people struggle with that in their 20s and early 30s. Like, God gave me visions exactly what to do. And I just really put the vision to pad or put it in the plan and just roll with it.
Right.
So that's kind of like how this balling from broadcasting came up, and to drop an EP and do a book titled the same thing. And that's why, you know, it's strategic. It's more about having a plan as opposed to just dropping music. Like some people, they get caught up in it, man, let me just make a song I think people gonna like because that's what I hear on the radio. But, you know, the true music fan, when they listen to the music, oh, this sound like Lil Baby. Oh, this sound like, so you're gonna automatically get categorized. I want to make sure I drop music where people's like, okay, that's Fave right there. I rock with that.
That's original.
It's original, yeah. So.
Right. Me and Nate Brown was talking about that on Sunday. And the one thing you say is like, man, you see Marlon did his new song. It's a bounce song. How many times have people could say you got an inspirational, positive bounce song? You know what I'm saying? No, but on the real though, like that say a lot, man, because I came up doing gospel rap. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yep. I remember that, bud.
Yeah,
I remember that.
You know what I'm saying? So it was always tough because you always looked at like, I mean, yeah, you an artist is cool, but like how hard you gotta go to like, you know what I'm saying, try to put somebody on that because nobody wasn't really going for that. It was going against the grain. You know what I'm saying? It was tough, but you know what? We had our little moment, we had our little wave, whatever the case may be. But being an artist and putting out music that you love is totally different than putting out music that they gonna love. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because they got some stuff, I'm pretty sure, like on albums and songs that I've written, there's some stuff that's just for you. Like if you listen to any artist out there and you put anything on wax, there's some stuff just for you, just for the sake of creativity that nobody really gonna pay attention to or understand. But you also got those songs, and we've had this conversation with Christine Marie, that people will take to that you can't stand. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me. Do you have any songs that you put out that people gravitate to, but you're like, damn, I really don't care for the song? Or
I didn't. I really didn't. Well, maybe, okay, so it was just one song we did. So back in the G when me and MF'N used to record, our marketing strategy obviously was, man, we got Fave at LSU, so we can make songs that cater to this audience. And then at the time they were at Southern, so we really had the best of both worlds. We had it rocking at Southern.
Baton Rouge.
We had the whole VR, and at this time, you know, Webby and Boosie, they were like really just breaking into the national scenes, and like the whole world was catching on to that. So I remember one time Fat's wife actually did a beat for the song we did called Logan.
Okay.
And I never forget, Che and Fat called me like, man, you gotta hear this song, man. I just came from a practice. And, you know, we headed up, man, Fave, you got to put a verse. And she was like, I know you don't want to do nothing too long, because at that time I was very, very, very tight on my image, because I was like, man, I don't want to do nothing to upset the NCAA or the LSU. Talking, oh, you putting out provocative music. Like back then, you know, that was kind of where the mental was. And and they understood that. Like you got NFL aspirations and you had a top school, you could do it. So on that song, I ain't gonna lie, I went in. And it ended up being the song that got us hyped on all the shows we did, man. We did a show one time at the Union. Shouts out to my dog, Easy Money, Jeff out there at UCLA. So we opened up for them. D1 was with the franchise at the time, too. Shout out to D1.
Shout out to D1, man.
On the big
shout out to Fatima.
Shout out to Fatima.
What's Jeff, baby? Right? So after that performance, D1 hit us up that next day, like, dude, I gotta get with y'all, man. Y'all got any more songs I can get? Because that was D's first year as a rapper. This was early 2006. This was his first time, and he broke into the scene with Iran and them. So I was like, when we did that show, because see us, West Jeff, we had those talent shows.
Yes, indeed.
So for me, it wasn't about let me just spit the lyrics and have swag on stage. For us, we really wanted a performance. So we would do performance type stuff. So we came out there Logan hype, and I remember I had the last verse on Logan. I took my shirt off, muscle shirt. And at this time, I'm out, 295, 300 solid. I'm in college, I'm all fresh out of my weight room. I'm still hitting the weights a little bit now, but at 35 is different from at 19. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
Boy, I jump off the stage, boom, the whole place. I was like, right, walking up and down, so we got the crowd in there, right? So we were smart performers. We knew it was going to be like a lot of deltas and AKAs in the building, like the student black coming in at shoot. So I'm like, let me hit my homeboy up. So I called my cousin Nick. He hit Braxton and whoever else. Like maybe it was like 2 or 3 other people that was with him. Them boys that whole day they were pumping the weights. They was lifting weights. They didn't eat that much that day. They came over there. The chicks backstage was oiling down their bodies, right? The boys came out, boom, boom, and we had this song where we remixed one of R. Kelly's old songs, Seems Like You're Ready, and we put flow to that. Bruh, the place erupted. Girls, ah! So we kind of like, we had the crowd. We performed that song, and we ended on that song. Man, everybody left after that. So one of them was like, wait, what's going on? I never forget that.
Shut it down.
Shut it down. Eron and Jeff, still to this day, we hadn't had that conversation. But boy, the next year, dog, them dudes put together a production the next year that just, and I'll never forget one time, we was all drinking and stuff like that. And Jeff had passed me, he was like, what's up, Fave? Yeah. He kind of was like, yeah, y'all ain't shut this down. Matter of fact, when we was performing, there was so much other stuff going on because the production was good. It wasn't just them rapping and stuff. They had like DJs, and it was that production. The next year was crazy, brother.
I got you right now. Marlon, you a Westbank legend.
Mm-hmm.
You know everything about the Westbank. You know it always come back to the food. You know we we grow up on the Westbank.
Yeah, we do.
Facts.
You had to choose between a hot sausage po' boy or a shrimp po' boy.
I'm going shrimp.
Hey!
You want shrimp po' boy?
Yo!
And if I can really specify the Danny and Clyde shrimp po' boy of that Westbank, boy, that's anywhere really that like.
You talking about the one right there by across from the Oakwood?
Oakwood, yeah. Well, no.
No, not that one.
No, the only Danny and Clyde's that I know, there is one by Oakwood.
Yeah,
now.
by Oakwood.
But I gotta check that one. I always go to the one in Harvard by the Best Buy.
Okay.
But before then, we had a Danny and Clyde's on every corner.
Every corner was there.
Before the brothers.
Now, when we were kids, we used to walk to, I think this was Greg's too, down from Ellender.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those po' boys used to hit, and those hot sausage sandwiches used to hit. So, yeah.
All right. Headquarters.
I ain't gonna glow too much on this one, man.
Because every time we had this conversation, and we have a lot of conversation with a lot of people from out of town too.
Right, right.
We tell them, and you would not believe how many people say hot sausage, and I always get on them for it.
Based on, look,
hot sausage.
Based on how we describe it, you know what I'm saying, is, look.
Hot sausage.
I'm going to say this like this, right? So a lot of people try to shy away from the pork, or they try to shy away from something that's too spicy if they're not from down here. But I would say the shrimp down here is probably second to not many places, if not the best, in my opinion.
Shrimp soup, shrimp stew, shrimp and potatoes, shrimp burger.
But it's nice to know that a West Bank legend is choosing a hot shrimp sandwich.
Get your rocks.
But anyway,
man, Marlon, real talk.
Yeah, man.
It's always been love, man. Westbank legend. Make sure that y'all check out Marlon. Y'all get him on Twitter at Big Fave 504. Y'all get him on Instagram at Big Fave 504. Make sure that y'all tune in for every episode of Inside the Trenches, hosted exclusively by Mr. Marlon Favorite. You can catch him on NFL Network. You can catch him on ESPN and all of the affiliates. And also, you'll even catch him in the mornings on Fox 8, rapping with our road dog, Christy Coleman, a.k.a. DJ Sugar Cookie. You know what I mean? Make sure that y'all get at Marlon, man. Make sure that y'all get at his camp. If y'all are D-lineman, if y'all in football, if y'all just need a mentor, man, make sure that y'all reach out, get at Marlon, one of the best things smoking on the West Bank. And Marlon, we thank you for taking some time out your busy day to come rap with the motherfucking pod, baby.
Man,
West Bank.
Bro.
West Bank.
Man, GetGorillaGet.com.
Get it.
ConquerSportsPros.com if y'all want to train, man. Thank y'all for the plugs, fellas.
Yeah, and also make sure every episode of the motherfucking podcast can be caught on the motherfucking pod.com.
No doubt, it's the motherfucking pod.
You heard?